What is up, Screen Junkies fans? I'm not sure if you've heard this, but there's a movie out and it's called Rogue One, and it is divisive at this table. There are some people here who love it. There are some people here who are less than enthused, and we're about to have a battle to the death over who is right. Now, if you're a fan of movie fights, Ken and Andy are going to do a similar drunk movie fight. You can go ahead and click over to that, but this is your warning. Full spoilers will be in this fight, so be careful. This is your spoiler warning.
Yeah, to be clear, we pre-taped this before I fought Ken, so we don't know what happens, but I'm ready to take him out, but let's do it first.
Loads of spoilers.
Yeah.
I can't believe, by the way, how the hell are there two guys here who did not love Rogue One? I mean, what the hell is that all?
We're gonna get there. Also, another warning, this is Scott Nance, and if you are listening to this with headphones, I would recommend turning the volume down.
Turn the sound down, because it's gonna get loud.
We are going into the first question. First question, gentlemen.
Yes.
Was this film necessary?
No.
I'm going through this to the yes fans first.
Absolutely.
Gentlemen.
Not only Ken. Okay, first of all, the fact that you have a Star Trek guy defending the merits of Star Wars Rogue One is
welcome on our side.
Ironic. I crossed over to the dark side. But man, oh man, I was so excited when this movie was over. I was so pumped. I was more pumped than when I walked out of The Force Awakens. Ultimately, I felt like I love this more than The Force Awakens. It's a better film than The Force Awakens. It was exciting. It was so clever the way that Rogue One basically snaps right into A New Hope. And if you watch Rogue One and then A New Hope, you're basically watching one long, great movie. What do you think?
Look, you're going to get a lot of philosophical arguments about we don't need anything these days. But you know what? It's a big business, and they're going to make these films. So I do think we need this type of Star Wars story. You could do a standalone film, origin-based. The Han Solo one, do we need that one? I don't know. Boba Fett, we don't need that.
No.
Yoda, I don't need that. But this one completes a long-held Star Wars question about how the rebels got the plans,
And it all
how the Death Star got built.
It
was needed. It's needed for the Star Wars universe.
Gentlemen. Andy,
It's tired.
your turn.
Oh, man. Nothing like the answer of, well, they're going to make them, so I better take it. God, you guys. Oh, no, this movie was not necessary at all. It just pandered. They just said, hey, you guys like Star Wars? Watch this thing.
Remember C-3PO? Remember R2-D2?
There they are.
Remember Jimmy Smits?
Remember Princess Leia when she was young? Here's a cartoon version of her.
Remember Talking?
Do you guys like Star Wars Rebels? Here's a Grandma
Remember-
Tarkin directly out of that cartoon in the
Remember
same style.
Ants?
Wait a minute. First of all, what you got here with Rogue One was literally the best Star Wars movie since The Empire Strikes Back. Here's why, fellas. Here's why. It is darker. It is grittier. It's more of an action film. It's
so is Suicide Squad,
It's
man.
more of a war movie. It's more of a war movie. So what you're getting here is the Dirty Dozen version of Star Wars. Go ahead.
Okay, so here's where I take umbrage. You say the Dirty Dozen version of Star Wars. And here's why I did not like this movie. Dirty Dozen, Saving Private Ryan. These movies have such a simple textbook template, and this movie just did not pull it off.
What?
The
way.
we're all gonna die trying to do this. Everyone was like, the third act of this movie is amazing. The third act of this movie was confusing. I was like, no, what's everyone supposed to do? You gotta plug a thing into a thing so the thing can open, and sometimes Star Wars has email all of a sudden. And then someone would die, and I would go, oh, but I'm so busy being confused about what everyone's job is that the deaths didn't matter. I was like,
wait,
that guy
Jim's
died.
final chase through that whole satellite dish was so
Okay, but
dumb.
I need final thoughts here. Was it necessary?
Yes, it was necessary because it was better than anybody had any idea it would be. It blew people's minds. It is a movie that Star Wars fans, the more you love Star Wars, the more you're going to love this movie. There's a lot of Easter eggs. There's a lot of great
I'll give 'em
surprises.
that.
Yeah,
right?
I'll give you that.
That's
If you
completely
love
fair.
Star Wars,
If you love Star Wars,
if you've seen it
if
100
you don't love
times.
Star Wars, why do we care, Scott?
Not true. I sat next to a lady at a screening who before the movie said, now this is a sequel to the one last December, right? I had explained to her, no. Next to the movie,
You had to explain it to her.
But but at the end of the movie, she was hunched over and emotionally encapsulated by what was happening to these characters. She bought into it, and she didn't know that the Blue Squadron was in the movie, which was a callback to the novelization. That was for me, not for her. She was still into it. It told a story in big blockbuster fashion with a great third act. Oh, I'm sorry you confused, Joe. Maybe your screening was too early for you. I understand. Maybe try having some coffee going at 1 like I did. I don't know. How could you not follow a simple thing like that?
The question is
Andy, was it necessary?
The question is it necessary? And it was not necessary. All this movie did was solve a plot hole that was in A New Hope.
Which I didn't need an answer to.
Plot hole solve for New Hope. It didn't give us anything new that we needed.
In
We
fact,
didn't need the prequels either. We didn't
fact,
need the prequels
of course
either.
we didn't.
And this movie was what the prequel should have been all along. And wait, was it necessary? Yes, it was, because the special effects were game changers.
No, all this movie did was cheerlead for the brand. They said, hey guys, you love Star Wars? Make me love the story that you're telling. I love Star Wars already. Make me love it more with a good story.
I love the story was telling.
Remember Mon Mothma?
Okay. That was a fantastic argument back and forth.
So who won that one?
I mean, okay, so here's the thing. I feel like what you guys were talking about was how great it was and how much you loved it and how it snaps into A New Hope.
Passion.
But that isn't the question. The question is, was it necessary? The fact that Andy kept bringing up member berries and that's just what it kept doing, and that you were talking about the third act and whether was it necessary? Their argument is that it was not. Your argument was it's good. Their argument was it's not necessary because all you're doing is filling a plot hole that we don't need to know the answer to. So the first point goes to Joe and Ann.
It's hard to win a philosophical argument. We don't need anything.
All right, question 2. We know that this film has a lot of fan service.
Oh, yeah.
Does it have general public service? Now, I'm going to take this over to Andy and Joe first. Gentlemen, what do you think?
No. Can I say, I don't know, I'm sorry, I'm killing the show, but I need to talk about something since we're spoiler talk, because I've been dying to talk about this.
Do it.
Here's a movie where the writers had an opportunity. They're like, wow, we can pull Vader into this. We can do whatever the hell we want, bring Vader into this movie, and have the coolest Vader battle showdown ever. And what do? They put him to walk down a hallway, which was cool for like 5-10 seconds, however the hell long short it was. And then it's over.
But then he wasn't even able to get a USB from the guy.
USB drive.
Oh.
He's Darth Vader. He's the fucking Force. Come on.
There was.
Pardon my language.
For general public love, this movie was so typical. I could have had the same experience at a Jurassic World or an Independence Day 2. This movie did not have like a good general public experience. It was such like a paint by numbers movie.
The pacing was so slow.
Oh, okay. First of all, you're both wrong.
I can see to the tidal wave here.
Does it have public service? Yes, because it works as a gritty action movie that stands on its own. But it works even better as a movie for Star Wars fans. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with a movie? Wait, hang on. What's a movie that wears its fan service on its sleeve? This movie is 2 hours of fan service, and I say bring it on.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
Right.
Bring it on, because it was fan service done the right way. I didn't expect Vader to be in this movie as much as he was. I thought they'd be like one cameo and that was it.
And he sounded too damn old.
He had 2 perfect scenes. That second scene was like crazy.
2 perfect scenes? What if... No,
that second scene was, the first scene was him being intimidating. The second scene was showing him kicking ass. That was more than I was going to... That's more than what I expected.
That's all I needed. And you talk about general public, the general public is going to go, cool, that dude in the mask that I've seen before is killing people. It doesn't matter who it is. The fan service is that I finally got to see Darth Vader's castle since I've been hearing about it since 1980. I finally got to see the screen. That serves me, but the general public is going to love the action that is seen. Yes. When you've got a Hammerhead Star Destroyer, which is from a role-playing game in 1993, more fan service, it's going to be pushing 2 Star Destroyers together.
Yes,
that is effing awesome. That's awesome.
Then there we go.
Fucking awesome.
Okay, plenty of fan service. Thank you for agreeing with us. To the detriment of the original movies.
No.
Listen to me, Scott. Now, every time I watch the original trilogy and someone's like, oh my God, a Star Destroyer. They cut through them like Swiss cheese in this movie. They just rammed one with the ship and it hit another one. And no one gives a shit about Star Destroyers anymore. You have ruined the cool scariness of a Star Destroyer. Oh, this movie.
You ruined the cool squid. Darth Vader's destroyer shows up, the Devastator shows up, out there in the comment section. Devastator shows up and just destroys and powers Rebel cruisers. That is still an intimidating ship.
They bumped one with a tugboat and it fell into another one.
Did he warp into that?
It's called
The Rebels to me are no longer this small, incredibly limited, scrappy, totally screwed rebellion that we saw in New Hope because they just had infinity CGI X-Wings in this movie. There were just more X-Wings, more X-Wings. While I appreciated the grounded effects on the ground, Star Wars needs to take the practical effects and put them back into space so that they can pull back on these big, just
furthering that,
video game space battles.
Do you guys remember on Hoth off how hard those AT-ATs were to take out? Like, they literally gunned them down in 2 seconds!
With snow speeders, Andy, those guns are less powerful than the X-65 X-Wings. Get it straight.
Okay, that just got way too intense. All right, so here's the thing. The question is does it serve the general public? I love the passion that you guys had, but I feel like you were talking about the things that bugged you that actually were part of the fan service. And I feel like, Nance, you really got into the action, the fact that it's a war movie, that it's gritty. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys the credit for that one.
Yes,
That's
Ken.
Hammerhead.
Yes.
I agreed with Scott, especially when he said the movie was 100% fan service.
Me too.
And what's wrong with that? What's wrong with having a What is wrong with having a movie that the fans love?
It's the biggest fandom around. You're gonna serve
That's
them.
what Star Wars is all about. Star Wars is
Wait,
about
we won the
fans.
point. We won the point, Scott. We won the point. They're just trying to
Star
rattle
Wars
us.
should be about
Here's-
moving forward.
Well-
Star Wars and Empire
Well, tell
Strikes
that to
Back.
J.J. Abrams with Force
Empire Strikes
Awakens.
Back was
Hold
such a
on.
strong film because it took us new planets.
This is better
introduced
than
new
Force Awakens.
species.
All right, guys, I have a question that I would like to know the answer to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does this movie make sense? Gentlemen, does this movie make sense?
This movie makes absolute sense. The rebels needed these plans after they started discovering them. This Bodhi Rook is a pilot who has the information from Galen Erso, and yeah, a lot of people didn't read Catalyst, and that's a different backstory in that character.
Wow.
The rebels needed this to do it. They needed the one person they needed to get to Saw Gerrera, which is Jyn Erso. That's an interesting, not complicated plot. It just kind of puts it out there. The rebels needed this to happen, and this plan makes sense. They got to take out Galen Erso. Because from the rebels' point of view, he is building this super weapon that's going to destroy them. And then once they find out, oh no, there's a weakness into it. Let's get the plans and find out the weakness. Where's the plans? It's on that planet, Beach Planet. We've never seen that before. That's a new thing. Go there,
On
you get the
top of
plans.
that-
Simple concept.
On top of that, you're thinking for like the last almost 40 years, how could they build this massive weapon that could destroy a planet and have this one little exhaust port that could be taken down with a couple of proton torpedoes?
I wasn't worried about it.
Not photon torpedoes from Star Trek, proton torpedoes. So now we find out that it was deliberately built in that it would have a
cares?
defect.
And not
I went,
only that,
whoa!
but
I
these-
thought, whoa, wait, hang on. I thought, wait a minute, that's really cool that it was deliberately built with that flaw so the rebels could destroy it, and they did. Boom.
So your guys' answers to does this movie make sense is just big
Yes.
ideas about it. It answered the why the egg hole was there.
Absolutely makes sense.
No one had any real strong arcs in this movie. Jyn Erso was the most reluctant hero. She was just powered by daddy issues. She didn't have any true like.
Who
she
isn't
didn't have
powered by
any-
daddy issues in Star Wars?
Me.
I mean, she didn't have any true arc. No one really did. They gave lip service to sort of people having like the idea of arcs. Diego Luna was like, I'm mean, but sometimes I don't want to be, and everyone went, okay, that's your character arc.
Well, but the question was, does it make sense? And it didn't make sense because, so wait, he was sending that message to get to her. Like the odds of that all coming together made absolutely no sense. Also, I thought Saw Gerrera was like hard to find. Everyone seemed to find him quite easily. He was literally in another rock that was right next to the other rock.
It's about getting to him.
But the whole Emperor is there, like trying to find. I could not understand the importance of what the hell Saw Gerrera was doing, calling me slow, or why he's talking weird. Yeah, whatever. But that coupled with the fact that the plot at the end, just the whole got it. Where did the email come from? Like suddenly we can email it to add to the what are they? The Coruscant? What's Admiral Akbar's?
Mon Calamari.
Mon
yeah.
Calamari. Sorry, I didn't want to be
Admiral Radis is his name. Pay respect to him.
Yeah, the Mon Calamari. What, they can email there, but they can't email across the galaxy. They have to now handle it analog.
But now we got to plug this other plug into a plug. The third act.
It was such a lazy third act.
Movies that do these same tropes. Oh my God, everyone's job is so clear cut and easy, so that when they die doing them, you go, oh, I feel something. Your job is to just guard this tower so Sniper can shoot people. Your job is to kill that tank.
Literally, that whole guard. Why was no one guarding the friggin' place where all the stuff was stored? But can I wait? Look, I don't want to be the nitpicky guy. Like, oh, you're just nitpicking to death. Here's what I would have loved. Vader is clearly shown up to take over because what's his name? I don't even remember their names. Who's the guy in the white cape?
Ben Mendelsohn.
Ben Mendelsohn. He's clearly screwed up. Okay, whatever, villain. But how about a scene where Vader shows up, strangles Ben Mendelsohn, and is going after
He did strangle
Jyn Erso?
little bit.
Let's really do it. Why couldn't we do it? Go big and blow my mind.
If you're gonna keep
then I'll
over-
give it a pass because I'm like, holy crap, that was amazing. She died, but the thing made it. Like that would have been such more an emotional and exciting finale if we're gonna bring Vader into it.
You are
than
nitpicking.
what they did.
You're nitpicking.
No, I wanted bigger. I wanted a bigger
Doesn't make
space
sense.
moment
The bottom
with
line
Vader
is,
and with her.
yes, it does make sense.
So
I was
often
able
in
to
this
follow
movie-
it along. Able to follow it along. Like, well, how did they destroy
He gave
the
a
Death Star?
bad guy
The rebels
monologue
stole the
before he
plan.
killed her,
How did
and then
they-
Diego
how did they
Luna pops
find
up out of
the
nowhere?
exhaust port? Well, the guy built the flaw in. And so that's how they found the
The
exhaust
only thing
port.
that made sense is they put all their energy to sort of just fill a plot hole from the
That I
original.
didn't really care
I
about.
didn't know it. He used the Force. That's all that mattered.
Well, finally,
Use
after
the
almost 40
Force,
years, the
Luke.
plot hole
And
was
sure,
filled,
it takes
and
away.
it
He
made
didn't
sense.
use the Force. It was
I
all-
got it.
How many nights' sleep have you lost over that egg hole? I have not.
There we go.
To answer your question, Joe, quite a few.
It has been argued that is this movie just the answer to a 30-plus-year-old Reddit thread, and I feel like that was the argument we just had. I honestly, Ken, you're talking, and I'm like, so many names, but so many things, but he said reading, but like I could not follow your description at all.
fair.
And I saw the movie. The fact that you guys talked about the character arcs, the lack thereof, being powered by daddy issues, you guys 1,000% get that
Bam!
point. 'Cause
The daddy issues-
Why wasn't that? Why wasn't nobody guarding the stuff?
What Star
Convenience.
Wars movie isn't powered by daddy issues?
So often in this movie, I was like, what do you want? What are you doing?
a
And
minute.
and rarely did I have that
I love
answer.
that you win the point, and you're like, I'm still gonna
Everybody's
keep
powered by
going.
daddy issues.
Well, Scott, that's a conversation for
Hey,
another
you know what we
time.
can agree though? K2SO is pretty funny.
Pretty dope.
K2SO is dope.
All right, we've got another question though. Are the rebels dope, or are these rebels bad at being rebels, gentlemen?
Yeah, where was the I Rebel line? Did it actually get cut?
That did not make it.
Yeah, that did not make
very
it.
weird.
You know, are we talking about like the character? What's our question?
The rebellion. Are these people good at rebelling? The rebels.
No, they
Yeah,
caved
it's-
in very easily to, we can't win. There's a Death Star. What are we going to do?
We can't win. We're piecing out.
Oh, wait. Someone's on the base? Okay, let's send people. Like, what? That made no sense.
You know, I'm going to say maybe they are good rebels solely because all of a sudden they've had this massive space victory over a heavily fortified Imperial planet, which definitely puts them in sharp contrast to the barely hanging on by a thread rebels of the original trilogy.
Good point.
We hold this base together by duct tape. No, you don't. You have like 8 fleets. You guys just, I don't think that these guys are very good rebels. We got very little to go by on them. We had like an angry general who's like, kill the guy. You have people, you have Jyn Erso come in and she's like, here's what's up. And everyone goes, why are we going to listen to this chick? And like all of you, you're a whole room full of like rogues and idiots and saboteurs. Like, yeah, listen to the girl who was raised by the guy who sent her a video. She saw the video. Diego Luna, who you trust to do all your dirty work, saw it, but he's not in the room for some reason. There were so many just little contrivances in this script that made the rebels look dumb. Just scene for scene for scene.
Gentlemen?
These are great rebels. What you saw in New Hope was a remnant of a big battle. A destroyed remnant of Jan Dodana's cell, by the way. There's different rebel cells. I know you don't know that. I know that's why I lose many
That's why I love
lonely
you, because
nights.
you know that.
I would have
There's
loved
different
to
rebel
have seen a
cells
few different rebel
that come
cells.
together. So they had heavy casualties in this. So it still ties into what you saw in New Hope. And up until then, these rebels are scrappy. They're killing their own informants. They don't want. And what you're seeing in that room, Joe, isn't rebels. It's politicians who are afraid to do stuff. They want to go try to be diplomatic. They want to talk. They're maybe afraid to act. Where someone like Saw Gerrera, the reason he's important to the bigger Star Wars picture, maybe not this movie, I get that, is that he was more of a terrorist the rebels didn't want to align themselves with, but they realized they had to take action. You know what? They didn't listen to Jyn. That's their problem. Jyn had a good plan, but thank God Admiral Raddus was there to be a real rebel and go against the politicians in the group, which Mon Mothma is one herself. She tries to later on disband the Republic Army. She has that characteristic where she wants to try to solve it, and they still want to try to find a way. They're still in the Imperial Senate. They want to take this to evidence to the Imperial Senate, and there was a large group of people who are like, no, we're rebels.
Wait. Then if they want it, okay, yeah. So Mon Mothma's like, we want Galen Erso to testify in the Senate, and then her general owner at hand's like, nah, shoot the dude. They're at the highest levels of the rebellion. At every level, they're just going every which way.
Because they're scrappy, they're confused, they're
Ken did a good
scared.
job on that.
Yeah, that was a knockout. Ken
was a pretty
totally
good nerd
destroyed
out.
that. That was, destroyed by the battle, the scrappiness. Suddenly I was like, oh my God.
Sorry.
Many lonely nights came to that moment, gentlemen.
That was beautiful. That brought a
Well
tear to many eyes.
I got nothing to say. It's all you, brother. It's all you.
All tied up.
All right, gentlemen, it is tied 2 points each. This is the final question. Where does Rogue One rank in the Star Wars?
I want to hear if they agree on this. Ken, do you agree with Scott's assessment?
Okay.
Well, let me hear your assessment.
My assessment is this. This is where Rogue One ranks. You got The Empire Strikes Back. Love right here for the shirt. Love right here for the shirt.
You agree
Empire
that's the
Strikes
best?
Back, which is the Citizen Kane
Okay, number
of
2.
Star Wars movies. Number 2 is A New Hope.
Do you agree, Ken?
So far, yep.
Number 3, ladies and gentlemen, Screen Junkies fans out there, number 3 is Rogue One.
Ken?
Number 3 is Rogue One.
Force Awakens for me, Rogue One 4.
Oh, you both are putting it above Jedi.
Jedi has some amazing stuff. Some of my favorite sequences are the Emperor.
some of the worst.
And not even talking about Ewoks, just the whole Jabba stuff at the beginning was great, but it was another movie. Jedi hasn't stood up as much to me. I still love it. Trust me.
love
me.
it, but yeah, I agree with
Force
you.
Awakens, because of the characters. I'm not going to argue that these characters had small arcs. It's tough for me to argue, Joe, and you know that. That's dirty. But Force Awakens gave us characters that we're going to be spending time with for 3 more movies, and they did a great job of that. That's why I liked it a little bit more.
Okay, the reason I didn't like Force Awakens as much is because it felt too much like a retreat, like a remake, rather, of A New Hope. I mean, the characters had doppelgangers. It's basically the Empire redo. It's only been 30 years. You have another Death Star, a third Death Star. It felt too much like I'd seen this before. At least with Rogue One, I felt like it was a clever... I gave you what I gave you.
I was just going to say.
You gave me an aneurysm.
Yeah, I love Rogue One because it gave me another Death Star movie with a bunch of characters I've already seen before, doing something I know is going to have an outcome.
Yeah, but wait a minute.
But I expected that going in.
You're not seeing them try to destroy the Death Star. You're seeing them try to
I've
take
seen
the
them blow
plans.
plenty of
You're
Death
seeing them
Stars. I'm
trying
good to
take
move
the
on to some
plans.
new plots.
But you see, the way the Death Star was depicted in Rogue One was the Death Star that we've been loving since A New Hope back in 1977. Like seeing the images of A New Hope, seeing the Death Star from A New Hope in Rogue One made me go, that's the Star Wars I grew up with. That's the Star Wars I love. That's why this is the best Star Wars.
Can I reconvene with Joe?
Go.
Is this better than the prequels?
Oh my God,
Best
yes!
prequel.
This is the best.
This is
the
what
best
prequels all
I'm
about.
making sure. We're in agreement, but I think that's where it lies, right in the middle. I think Force Awakens then the prequels, yes?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what I
I'll
said.
give it-
Praise, bro.
So I'm
I'll
putting
give it that.
Jedi above it and Force Awakens above it.
I'm putting Rogue One above Jedi and above Force Awakens.
Why would you
Number
put
3.
it there? Why does it
I
rank
just think the
there for
original
you?
trilogy there's tons in Jedi I love. I mean, just Jabba the Hutt alone. I mean, there's just so much new fun stuff there. I liked.
But even if there are things you don't like in Jedi, at the core of it, it tells a straightforward point A to point B story.
and a conclusion to that story.
Mm-hmm. Whereas this movie was kind of just all over the place. It was. Here's why
What,
the
Rogue One
original.
was all
Here's
over
why
the
the
place?
original trilogy ranks over Rogue One. The original trilogy told these amazing stories that made me care about the stories I was watching. Rogue One desperately just wanted me to love the brand, and I already love the brand. Like anytime someone leaned into someone and was like, "Maybe it's time to talk to your Jedi friend on Tatooine," I was like, "No, that's
I
another.
trust you with my life."
That's another scene that you could have spent that time to make me care about Chirrut more, or
Yes.
spent more
It's
time with
one little
Wiz or
scene.
K2.
I don't know. That's immaterial.
There's
That's a
so many
non-issue.
little scenes like that. A dramatic reveal of Jimmy Smits, where that's the first time you hear the original trilogy scores. This dramatic reveal of Jimmy Smits, and
Who
then he doesn't even
says
say
nothing.
anything. You know, any time that they were like, "Hey, here's some original trilogy stuff," like I don't care about any of them. I don't care about Mon Mothma. I don't want to.
How dare you, sir?
Make me care about the ride that this Rogue One group is going on. Cut the rest out. Make me care about the story
It's
that I'm
weird.
watching.
They gave me more about Jyn, and I liked her, but I would choose Rey over her in a heartbeat.
But the
Final
movie as a
thoughts,
whole,
guys.
the movie as a whole for Force Awakens, again, I felt like I remember sitting there at the first screening of Force Awakens, just feeling my enthusiasm wane as the movie went on, because once they start their attack on the new Death Star, I went, wait a minute, this has been again with the friggin' Death Star. Rogue One got better as it went along. It ended super strong, and it left me, I wanted to run home and watch A New Hope right away. I feel like it was different, it was grittier, it was more grown up, it wasn't geared to kids, you didn't have any Ewoks. You didn't have Jar Jar. Definitely better than the prequels. And the reason Jedi for me ranks lower than Rogue One and Force Awakens, because Jedi for me, like all the greatness of Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back isn't just the best Star Wars. It transcends the franchise. It's just a masterpiece movie, period. Up there with like Godfather Part 2 and yes, Citizen Kane. But Rogue One, I just felt like it was a great action movie. It felt like a war movie. It felt like The Dirty Dozen in Star Wars. You know, some people have said it's like Seven Samurai, but no, it's more like The Dirty Dozen of Star Wars movies. It got better as it went along. Yes, I think it's better than Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi, I couldn't stand the Ewoks. I couldn't stand that they made Han Solo a caricature. Like he wasn't like the tough, scoundrel that I loved from A New Hope and definitely from The Empire Strikes Back. Rogue One is a kick-ass movie, number 3 on the list.
If you removed the Star Wars from this movie and it was just
an action movie?
Sci-fi action movie, you took out all these things, you would have walked out of that like, holy shit!
It would still be great. The action would still be great. The battle scenes would still be fucking awesome if Rogue One didn't have the word Star Wars in the title.
They wouldn't have spent as much money on it.
The nice thing is, Joe,
I mean, 90%
I don't
of what you
have
guys
to take it out. It's there for me.
I mean, like the retreads are in this one too. A Star Destroyer crashes into another Star Destroyer. That happens with Star Destroyer crashes into the Executor. Like that happens in the original trilogy. We've seen it.
With an A-wing, sir. It crashed into the Death Star.
Andy, I want to hear your point. Why do you think that this ranks? Why for you did this rank just barely above the prequels, where you had to confer with your co-star?
Well, I just think, like I said, I think the original trilogy is why we have this, right? This movie was created because in service of the original trilogy, and I think so. That trilogy just stands in itself to me more importantly because it did something new. It moved forward. All of these movies moved forward. Even in Force Awakens, I agree there was too many strips of repeating itself from a plot point.
This is supposed to be a spinoff.
These spinoffs are supposed to.
These are supposed to offer.
I let you have your time, sir.
Sorry.
These
talked for like 10 minutes,
I know.
Vince.
These spin-offs should have something more to offer us than just retread. Oh,
They're
that's why
supposed to show us
But it's
something
not a
new.
retreat.
They didn't show me anything new.
Give me a movie
I've seen
about
more
this.
movies before.
It's a prequel. Technically, it's what the prequel should have been all along.
No, give me. These are supposed to be spin-off. These Star Wars stories. They're anthology stories. Give me a full movie exploring Forrest Whitaker and his weird rebels that are so bad that the other rebels don't want to rebel with them. Like that. That's so cool. Instead, nope. Here's Vader. Here's
the ragtag crew that sort of just happened to find together.
Tarkin, and he looks so bad. He looks like the comedy villain in a Hobbit movie.
Can we?
Like, oh my god.
We haven't been able to talk about Leia at the end.
Here's Leia turning around saying,
they stayed on her too long.
Your
We're not
Highness.
there yet.
Oh God, Your Highness. What
We're not
is
talking
this?
about that for a reason, Andy.
Okay.
Your Highness.
Why are we not talking about that for a reason?
They took a risk. They took a risk. That maybe didn't pay up, but that's a
This
small
is
part
what
of
sums
it.
up this. We stayed on too long.
Wait, Ken, you're supposed to end it strong.
Okay.
I didn't give him a chance to bell right.
That was no. Ken, I hate to do this to you. Hold on. You said they stayed on it too long, but you started this argument by saying small arcs. I can't argue with that. So basically, you're saying it's not as strong as you want it to be.
But I said it was strong.
And I appreciate the
Passion, Sasha.
I appreciate that, but at the end of the day, the points that these guys are bringing up, like,
are
please
wrong.
make me care. If this didn't have the word Star Wars in it, would I care? Rather than having it be
I
about
can't
people,
change their hearts.
You said I love the brand.
Yeah, it's a little small on you, huh, man? Just like the movie.
And for that, the final point goes to these guys.
We did it!
Better argument.
We're never gonna make a Star Wars movie again. We did it.
I had Ken Knapsack on my side. How do you fuck that up?
I don't feel like I'm going to play into protest.
Guys,
You want to get to fight again drunk, so I'm very excited.
admitted
walked
that it
into
was
a losing
small
battle, man.
arcs And that they stayed on Leia too long. But this is an
does not a
argument
movie
that
make.
isn't just for us. This is for you guys too. We want to know what you think. Let us know in the comments. Tweet us at SJ News. And of course, you can always click here at Scott Nance for more Screen Junkies news. Later.
Later.